Hi there maple fans, and in this series of videos I'll be sharing what I do throughout an entire year on a monthly basis. Please note that these months are based on UK timings, but of course can easily be adapted to anywhere else in the world. Hi, it's Carl here. So just doing a more off the cuff kind of video today. It's the 8th of May here in the UK. So, you know, it's spring we're well into at the moment. And it's just my thought processes, and I thought I might just share them with you really, just then walk around on my own, so to speak. So what am I doing? Cotonuito here, beautiful tree. Know from experience this is absolutely fine in kind of any old weather condition really, but loves full sun, so happy to leave it here. That's the kind of south face of my garden down there, so I'll know this will be absolutely fine. Thinking, you know, I've managed to get some of these labels produced, so I'll no doubt do a video soon about labelling and such, because I think I've finally found a solution where I don't have to keep rewriting them every year. So hopefully that'll work okay. Also Atropoporium there, again, know from old that he's absolutely fine in full sun. And of course Shishigashira, tough as old boots, absolutely fine. There's the old label actually down there that I haven't moved yet, so we can get rid of that one. And there's the new fella, which should be a lot more permanent. I mean, they serve me well, but again, we'll have a look at that later on. Moving on to Shayna here, another big favourite. Lovely small compact sort of tree. If you like sort of a Atropoporium sort of form, nice deep reds, but you just wanted something more compact, then that's a very good tree indeed. And just noting that we've got a little bit of like dieback, so good time of year here in sort of early May. You can clearly see that it's tried to grow some leaves on this, but this is just too damaged. It's quite brittle now. So here's some secateurs I prepared earlier. I tend to use some like quite fine nose ones to do this, and then we can just give that a little snip really and get rid. It's just trimming it up, tidying it off a little bit really, and just cutting it as a slight angle there, so the water will just run straight off it. And just having a little look around. It's just a bit of a tidy up job really, I suppose. Little one there as well. That one really is brittle, so absolutely fine. So moving on to some of the other bits and pieces in the garden. It's a good time to rearrange things this time of year as well. So this little chappie was kind of a bit hidden. So he was quite nice, picked up from a garden centre, so we'll just pop in there. And bamboo. So pop these in here a couple of years ago. I should have planted more sort of together, I suppose, really, to get this growing quicker with hindsight. But as you can see, we've got this magnificent stalk here now it's quite stunning. I mean, you turn your back on these things and they've just suddenly grown a huge stem. And for those that don't know, these grow to that height in sort of 1 year and then stop. So you can pick the right bamboo size and it's just going to fill the area really well. This is running bamboo, so I did do a video on this ages ago now really. But you see I've contained it in a trough here, a plastic trough, to stop it spreading absolutely everywhere. But because it likes to spread and because it's now a bit more established, it's casting out these shoots absolutely everywhere, and that will thicken up into a nice sort of fence for me really. So continuing the walk round, we've got Twombras there. This little Yukon that I kind of down potted, that's doing brilliantly now. It's picked up speed, it's growing again, doing really well. Really dangerous over potting these maples. And again, someone will say in the comments, well, you can, and yeah, I agree, if you use a really free draining compost, but I just can't guarantee being out here every day watering every single day. I can basically get here once every 2 or 3 days, so I just need a little bit of longevity during the summer really. And while we're just on that subject as well, I mentioned this in the past, and some people like them, some people don't. But I think certainly when you're starting out, in fact, I'll change that. I think just as a matter of course, you use a water meter. And I mean, I'm not saying they're the most wonderfully calibrated thing in the world, but they're consistently whatever. So the difference that various plants have at this stage in time of year, in terms of how much water they need, varies immensely. So I really do think that it would be impossible for me to sort of just look at something or put my finger in the ground and judge and make sure they've all got just the right amount of water in them, because the water update will vary so much depending on position. So there's another one, you know, it hasn't been watered at the same time, but little Cripsy there is kind of drier. He just is. So many factors to take into account. I think one of these is a really good idea. And just a note with watering as well, I don't mind it getting into the dry zone. If you let them dry out, the roots will go in search of water, and in the end, you know, it's the roots down here that really drive the top of the plant. So it's just important to sort of look after them, and then they will look after the tree, so to speak. So yeah, we'll give that one a little splash though, because he's looking a little bit dry. When the trees get very big or they're in the ground, they sort of look droopy and wilty, so it's almost easier to tell. And when I'm watering, as you can see there, I saturate them. So I would either leave it alone until they're really dry, or give them a really good water. Just thinking to myself, actually, I've started producing these labels. I've got some more already delivered. I need to do a load more work though to sort of catch up, to be honest with you. But things are progressing quite well. I did actually repot this little Princess recently. I think it just deserved it. The old pot was full of roots, and yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Just checking out underneath there, a bit of gardening. Let's get rid of some of those bits and pieces. But yeah, we can sort that out. And that's where the mulch in here that you put on top, it seems crazy thing to do when you do it originally, but actually this stops evaporation, this inhibits weeds. It will serve you very well through the summer months. Looking through, this little chappy here did get wind scorched. So Arido Nishiki. Now that's a shame. My fault, put him in a too exposed position for when they're this young. I should have put it right by a fence, or you know, even taking it indoors when it got a bit frosty. But you can see some damage there. I don't really like touching these. I think we'll leave it alone. This is obviously dieback on here. That's going to be a problem. But there's stuff going on. There's some leaves. We're not looking too bad. But again, we mustn't overpot. And this is one I certainly sort of keep testing the water levels are. That's nice actually. I'd rather play this on the cautious side, because I don't want, this is not going to uptake much water out of this pot because the tree's so sparse of leaves. So there's a real danger of it being, of the roots rotting and causing a major problem, but I'm really happy with that at the moment. Tazunami, I've used this joke before, but it should be sort of Japanese for, it's more like a tsunami actually. It's just the most incredibly fast growing tree. It really is. But again, lots of foliage. Also, another thing with watering, I mean, rainwater on this is going to sort of fall off it. So it's not, you know, the water actually raining, getting through all this down to the pot below. That's going to be quite limiting on this tree. So again, testing with the water meter. That one's okay because I did it earlier, to be honest with you, but it's really worth having that thought process. So really looking after the little guys here. So those are kind of last year's trees. They're coming on okay. Looking around, just again retesting. Yeah, very nice, that's fine. You can see lots and lots of new growth on this actually, Makayetsubusa. So that's showing real promise. It grows very slowly, but you can understand why, because it's absolutely so thick, full of growth, that there's a lot of tree there. It's all very compact. When you come to sort of blood goods and stuff like that, there's probably, you know, less leaves on this, but the way it grows and it spreads out, it's a much different proposition. And just to say, if you'd like to come with me on my Acer journey, please do like and subscribe to my little channel. It really helps. I've also recently set up a Patreon site, so that's a great way of supporting me too, and help out with some of the costs of my excursions really. There's also the offer of some personal help, if you'd like it, either in a group format or on a one-to-one basis. This is my Siriu. Again, it does get quite a lot of sun on the tops here because it's quite tall now. That's going to get that from morning really all the way through as the sun passes sort of east to west, but that's okay. It's a Siriu. We know that's okay in good sunshine really, in sort of, you know, direct sunshine. Hostas down the bottom, most of them don't like sun. Some do, absolutely, but that's looking absolutely lovely there. They love shade, and in that shady area they sort of light it up, so we're kind of really happy with that. Carrying on through, this is very strange. So this is supposed to be An Irene, which is a hybrid of Summer Gold, but what we've got on top is Summer Gold because it's actually reverted back to its original cultivar. Now this is not the rootstock going through, because as you can see, there's nothing coming from the rootstock whatsoever. It's literally part of the tree. One of the branches has spontaneously gone back to what it was. Do I care? I don't really. I know you're supposed to sort of get rid of the other tree or whatever, but let's just see what happens, to be honest with you. And summer gold, by the way, again, is notorious for being pretty yellow, pretty sort of light green to yellow, but very sun tolerant, so kind of happy to leave that one there. Seedlings, how are they doing? Yeah, really well actually. So again, you get amazing that these are just 3 seedlings. The genetic variation is there to behold. They're all different, you know, they're all sort of slight different variants of each other. Interesting that in shade, this red one down here is actually quite green, and that's a heads up actually. The red trees in shade do produce more chlorophyll to absorb more light, so they will turn green as part of that process. Just moving on, Sangakaku, classic maple. Probably one of the very best really, because it's really sun tolerant. If you give it more sun, it just sort of eats it up and changes into nice colours and things. It goes yellow in the summer, and beautiful bark in the winter, to be honest with you. So that one's I'm okay with. Also good to reassess your potting scenario here, Wendy, down the bottom. That was the size of one of these about 2 years ago, yes. So I'm going to do a video on Friday about growth rates and stuff like that, and how to pick a tree. This would be a really good example to watch out, because this one really does grow big. And again, perhaps later in the season a bit, I'll have a look. If that pot gets full of roots, I might pot it a bit more. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see really. But so many people say, should I plot an Acer on? Honestly, without looking at the roots, I can't really tell you, because when it's pot bound, the tree's telling you that I need more space, please, and that's probably a good a guide as ever. Tamukiyama. This was a lovely little tree that was bought at the same time as those, because I know this is fairly fast growing for a weeping one, and it seemed to be quite advanced, and the pot was full of roots. Seemed absolutely fine to pop him into the pot there. This pot is only slightly bigger than its existing pot though, but it just gives me a bit more reassurance. These tend to hold a little bit more moisture for the summer months, and for my particular situation that kind of suits me really. Orium's doing well. Dissectum, just a plain old dissectum, nothing too fancy, but wow, these are lovely trees, relatively slow growing, and I think with this kind of habit they kind of like melt away. Lovely by water, stuff like that, just a nice tree to have. And Hubb's Red Willow is a real crack of a tree as well. That has grown again really well. It's only like a couple of years old, and it was only kind of this big when I bought it. As you can see, it's been staked up, and I don't mind that. I don't normally sort of like doing this sort of thing, but I think it's just going to make for a nice tree really. And on this bench down here, it's just added a little bit of height. I'll probably feature this one again actually. This is a unique maple called Milligan, which I bet you don't have, and the reason is it only comes from one particular Acer grower, which is Bartholomew's in Dorset in the UK, and Milligan is the name of the lady who's one of the owners, is the lady of a horse, so that's why it's called Milligan. But what a lovely tree. We might do one bit of a feature on sort of more unusual maples at a later date. Moving on around, Butterfly is a real shade lover, so hence under my canopy, which you've probably seen before, the more shade you give it, the better it kind of is really. Really weird kind of contorted leaves, lovely colours in there, touch of red, but mainly sort of cream and green. Yeah, really pleased with that. Acer Grisium, I grossly overpotted this, I confess. This year I think it's kind of growing into the pot though. I should really have downsized the pot, I suppose, but it was seeming to be okay-ish, so I've left it alone. And that's the paper art maple, so as that thickens up and that should get more interesting. And you can see just about the start of that real sort of flaky bark sort of look as it ages. So this is my shady section. So what I want in the shady section is two things. I want plants that love shade, and I want parts that are going to light up the shade. So I'd say that's a good one. Again, we'll do a better video, a more substantial video on that in a later date. What catches my eye, Higasiyama. That's a really unusual one as well. It seems to have a bit of everything. It seems to have some more ordinary leaves. It's got some sort of pinky new growth. It's sort of a bit of a mismatch really, but as you can see, lots and lots of growth this year. And apart from the rain potentially causing a real problem with over drowning the root system, it's been fairly kind to maples really, because we haven't had that much frost in the UK, and we haven't had that much really hot sun either. So I think that's going to work quite well. Orium, just brilliant really. It does love shade. These leaves burn quite easily, but in a shady spot, wow, it just glows almost. And you may have watched last week's video, or it could be out of sync actually, so it's my other first May video of the Dragon Masters I put into there. That's my water fountain. I haven't got that switched on, but that works fine. And then this is the corner I've been working on. Again, we'll do something in more detail, but Moonrise, absolutely superb colour this year. It just does seem to like there's enough evening sun to sort of redden up the leaves, which is great. And the Yukagumo is kind of a bit lost against the background, if you see what I mean, as you can imagine. So I've just tried to reposition it. It's leafed out fairly slowly this year, and I haven't fed it too much, and that's helped keep it really quite white. So it can vary from year to year, but this year is probably quite a good one. And we've got Okushimo here. It's one of my personal little favourites. I just love this little character. The sort of curled over leaves. It's one of the few ones that I just really admire because of the leaf shape. It's simple, but it's really interesting. And then Beni Shishihenge, which is this most gorgeous pink with accents of green. And I think we'll finish on a sort of bit of a star really, Amiga Stara. Why? Because it's purple. I mean, it's quite incredible really. And I think in summary, I mean, people say, well, why do you grow Acers and all the rest of it? I mean, honestly, with colours like this, why do you need flowers? I would say, I may upset people, I'm really sorry, but it's so colourful, and these colours will endure really well as long as they're in the right position, and they'll change over the summer and then give us an absolutely glorious autumn show before they finally go to sleep ready for next year really. So that kind of really suits me. So hope you like that little tour. It's all a bit rough and ready, I suppose, really, but we'll see you with the more substantial sort of planned videos on the topic very soon. And if not, if you like this sort of format, let me know. Otherwise, take care and happy maple collecting. Cheers.